StudyIQ IAS, अब तैयारी हुई अफोर्डेबल।
Hello everyone. I hope this message finds you fit and fine. My name is Shashank Tyagi. Welcome you all to our contest series on Indian Polity based on Lakshmikant. कई बार मन में सवाल आता होगा कि इस प्रिपरेशन को शुरू तो कर दिया है, मज़ा भी आ रहा है, तभी आप इस वीडियो में हैं, सीखने को तो मिल रहा है, लेकिन क्या उतना पढ़ा जा रहा है जितना इस एग्जाम को क्लियर करने के लिए ज़रूरी है? क्योंकि अल्टीमेट ऑब्जेक्टिव तो क्या है? योर नेम इन मेरिट लिस्ट। तो देखिए, कंटेंट तो सेम है, लेकिन कंटेंट को यूज करने की हमें स्किल डेवलप करनी है। कैसे होगी वो स्किल डेवलप? पहले तो भाई टाइम से हर एक सब्जेक्ट का कंटेंट तैयार होना चाहिए। अगर आप वो कर रहे हैं ठीक है, लेकिन इफ यू वांट टू टेक हेल्प तो आप स्टडी आईक्यू की हेल्प ले सकते हैं। जो स्टडी आईक्यू का P2I प्रोग्राम है, आप स्टडी आईक्यू ऐप या वेबसाइट पर देख सकते हैं। P2I मतलब प्रीलिम्स से लेकर इंटरव्यू तक का एक प्रोग्राम। तो ये एक प्रोग्राम के अंदर 4 फेजेस हैं। तो उस 4 फेजेस के थ्रू पहले ही फेज में आपका कंप्लीट सिलेबस हो जाएगा। तो इट इज लाइक द बेसिक थिंग, ये तो करना ही है। इसके बाद आता है कि हमें स्किल्स डेवलप करनी है, यानी कि उस कंटेंट का प्रीलिम्स में इस्तेमाल हो सके, उस कंटेंट का मेंस में इस्तेमाल हो सके, यानी कि आंसर राइटिंग। फिर हमें असेसमेंट चाहिए बीच बीच में, जिससे कि हमें कमियां पता लगती रहें। तो इसके लिए भी P2I में आपको प्रीलिम्स मेंस दोनों की टेस्ट सीरीज दी जा रही है। वीकेंड पर भी टेस्ट होते हैं, प्लस डेली मेंस आंसर राइटिंग होती है। तो आपको नहीं लगता अगर इतना कोई मेहनत आपके साथ कर ले तो आप करना तो चाहते हैं, बट एक पाथवे नहीं है, तो P2I प्रोग्राम वो पाथवे आपके लिए साबित हो सकता है। तो टेक हेल्प ऑफ दिस। फिर आपके मन में कभी कभी जो डाउट आता है उसको ढूंढने के लिए आपका काफी समय जाया हो जाता है। जाया इसलिए कह रहा हूं क्योंकि हो सकता है उस डाउट को ढूंढने के लिए आपने 1 घंटा लगा दिया, क्योंकि उससे एसोसिएटेड काफी सारी चीजें नई नई पता लगती चली गई आपको। ऐसे में इस टाइम को रिड्यूस कर सकते हैं आप। एग्जाम ओरिएंटेड क्या उस डाउट से रिलेटेड नॉलेज आपको चाहिए, वो आपको एक पर्सनल मेंटोर बता सकता है। तो इस कोर्स में फैकल्टीज तो आपके साथ हैं ही, इस पूरी जर्नी में आपको पर्सनल मेंटोर दिया जा रहा है। आप उसकी हेल्प लीजिए। आप कॉल व्हाट्सएप पर कभी भी उनके साथ कनेक्ट हो सकते हैं। उनका नंबर आपको इस कोर्स में स्पेसिफिकली आपको अलॉट होगा। तो अल्टीमेटली आपका टाइम बचेगा, कॉन्फिडेंस आएगा प्रिपरेशन में। फिर जैसे आप प्रीलिम्स क्लियर कर लेते हैं तो उसके बाद मेंस रेजिडेंशियल प्रोग्राम, ये इसका सेकंड फेज मतलब थर्ड फेज कहिए, क्योंकि पहले फेज में फाउंडेशन है, फिर सक्सेस इन प्रीलिम्स है, फिर MRP मेंस रेजिडेंशियल प्रोग्राम। फिर उसके लिए आप दिल्ली बुला लिया जाता है आपको। यहाँ पर आप मतलब जो फूडिंग लॉजिंग एवरीथिंग इज टेकन केयर बाय स्टडी आईक्यू। और उसके बाद फिर रिगरस प्रिपरेशन होती है आपकी मेंस के हिसाब से, यानी कि हर एक जो आपका पेपर है, GS है, लैंग्वेज है, essay है, हर एक की तैयारी यहीं पर हम आपको अपने सामने कराते हैं। उसके बाद जैसे आप मेंस क्लियर करते हैं तो इंटरव्यू गाइडेंस प्रोग्राम, वहाँ पर आपके कोहोर्ट्स बनते हैं, जिसमें डिस्कशन के थ्रू जो आपके अदर एस्पिरेंट्स हैं, जो आपके साथ इंटरव्यू देने वाले हैं, तो आप अपनी स्किल्स को पॉलिश करते हैं। साथ में ब्यूरोक्रेट्स, फॉर्मर टॉपर्स, ये सब फैकल्टीज आपको मिलकर गाइड करते हैं। फाइनली व्हेन यू आर थ्रू इनटू द मेरिट लिस्ट, देन फिर आपको लगता है कि हाँ, इट वाज ऑल वर्थ इट। मिलते हैं आपसे क्लासेस में, ख्याल रखिए। जय हिंद। In our previous 3 videos on this chapter, center-state relations, we have covered legislative, executive and financial aspect. Today we need to discuss issues between center and state, commissions which are made in this regard, and what were the prominent recommendations. This section is going to give you good fodder point for your prelims as well as mains. So let's talk about trends, means the issues between center-state. Were they prominent in 1950s and 60s also? No. Till 1967, the relations were quite smooth. And the reason was, Congress party was having hegemony. In center there was Congress, in states there was Congress. And as we saw that many states got non-Congress party leading the government and Congress at the center, then conflict started emerging. Now you should think, was center-state relations got a downturn, or why we are saying downturn? Because conflict started emerging. Is it due to some political differences, or this is more than that? Because being a UPSC Civil Service aspirant, you should know that we are more interested in understanding the provision part, what Constitution says, what federalism as a concept says. And on this premise, we are going to decide what claims which are made by states are legitimate and what are just mere for political gains. right? I hope you will agree on this point. Now, what were the tension areas? Number one, governor's appointment. You know that governor is appointed by Honorable President on the advice of Council of Ministers. And this governor works on pleasure of President. It means can be removed, transferred at any point of time without giving any reason. And that is why it is said that this governor works for central government. Allegations are made. So now government's appointment and dismissal and role, it is questioned by state. The state says governor is executive head of the state, but governor works as agent of center. This is against the principle of federalism. Independence of state is being compromised. Second, president being partisan. There are several occasions where governor reserve a bill for the honorable president, and sometimes this bill gets stalled, which actually hampers the legislative power of state. Another issue is central armed police forces. Means states say that many times center enforce, or you can say send forces, central armed police forces, without consultation with state. It actually questions the legitimacy of the role of state. If state government is confident enough to manage the law and order, then central government should not intervene by sending these forces. That is one apprehension. Another is bill. As I told you, state legislature presented a bill to governor. The governor has sent this bill to honorable president. President has a lot of, you can say, powers with respect to passing, giving assent to this bill or stalling this bill. Discrimination in financial allocation. So there are two apprehensions from financial aspect. One is when this division of revenue is done between center and state on the recommendation of Finance Commission, although Finance Commission recommendation is not binding, but it has some value. So state says we get lesser share of revenue and we have more expenses than center. When I say more expenses than center, it should be considered in proportional manner. Means areas in which a state has to spend. I'm not talking about the quantum. Sharing of finances. So they question that a state should have more funds from the revenue which are collected by center. The state says we should be given more liberty to make our own policies, because one size fits all won't work for everyone. A policy can work good in, say, Bihar, but that policy won't be, it may be possible that policy won't work that well in Himachal Pradesh. States should be given more funds. They can decide the developmental model they want to adopt. Management of all India services, as you know, IS, IPS, Indian Forest Services. There are 3 all India services. States time and again says that these all India service have patronage towards center, which compromises the, you can say, authority of state government. That is one claim, and in upcoming discussion you will see how many times various you can say commissions which were made by state on center state relations have demanded abolition of all India service. Abolition. Now, use of electronic media for political purpose. It means you must be knowing Doordarshan, All India Radio. So it means these are institutions, prominent channel of communication, although they're not that prominent as of now. But think of the time, we are talking about 60s, 70s. They were the prime, you can say, connection between people and the government, or what is happening around the world. So states were saying these channels were actually used by a party in the power in center for their own political purpose, own political gain. That is wrong. Appointment of inquiry commissions against many chief ministers to actually arm twist them. Encroachment on the state list. So you can see these are the prominent, you can say, tension points between center and state. So I asked from you just 5-6 points, and now you have more than that, right? Now, commissions and initiatives which were made. So now, with respect to commissions, we are going to divide them into 2 parts. Commissions which were made by center, commissions which were made by state. Means state making commission, giving recommendation to center that you should adopt it. Okay. And then we are going to talk about, within the center part, we are going to talk about Sarkariya Commission, Punchi Commission at the last, because they are the most important. We are going to start with ARC, Administrative Reforms Commission, which was headed by Mr. Morarji Desai. So this commission was made to actually look into the issues which were raised by state, whether they are legitimate or illegitimate. If something can be done in this regard, then this commission was given responsibility that you should recommend. So there was a separate study team under MC Setalwat, who was once Attorney General of India. So now what were the recommendations? There were 22 recommendations, and out of them major recommendations are these. Now please connect these recommendations with what we have discussed until now. Okay, first recommendation, establishment of interstate council, non-partisan governor. I told you number one point was governor issue, and first ARC was recommending non-partisan governor. Governor should not be someone who has political background, which is the culture in present time, right? All politicians are given this responsibility of governor. Delegation of more power to states, more financial resources to state. I think now you are connecting. State demands were being addressed by ARC in these recommendations. Deployment of central forces. They said central forces are being deployed without our consultation. Now they are saying on request of state, right? They should be actually, you can say, deployed. Or if this emergent circumstances, then only this should be deployed by center unilaterally. But whether some action was taken by government on these recommendations, no action by government on this ARC report. Thereafter we saw Raj Mannar committee. Now this was not a committee which was made by center. This was made by Tamil Nadu government. 3-member committee. So now see the recommendations which were made. Setting of interstate council. You will see similarity. Interstate council was demanded. Here also interstate council was demanded. Permanency of finance commission. Then you should question, why permanency? First of all, you are well aware that finance commission is a constitutional body, right? Established by Honorable President for a term of 5 years or maybe early. Means there is no fixed tenure of finance commission. Okay. Now, finance commission is not having some permanent secretariat. It is given a list which we call term of reference, that on these objectives you have to work and give recommendation to the government. Now after these recommendations are given, job is done, and then it can be quashed. Now state said, our future is decided on the basis of recommendation made by finance commission with respect to finances, sharing. And if we have certain apprehensions on the formula that finance commission has used, where should we go? There's no permanent secretary, dedicated secretary to finance commission. This is a constitutional body, but not permanent body. Make it permanent. So that's why they raise this, so that they can raise their grievances at this stage, right? Disabandonment of planning commission. Why? Because planning commission was not involving states while deciding 5-year plans. Omission of president rule means they were saying, let's remove this article 356 usage because it undermines this concept of federalism. Many times state governments are removed just for political gain by the party in power at center. Residuary powers to state, and now you will see this demand has been consistently raised, residuary powers to state, by other commissions as well. Okay, the residuary power means subjects which are not mentioned in unions or state list or concurrent list. In these regard, who has the power? Parliament has the power, right? Parliament is supreme in this regard. They said no, state should be made supreme. Abolition of all India service. Abolition, removal of all India service. They said we can actually, every state government can work with the provincial civil services. We don't need all India service because all India service people, they're appointed by, on the recommendation of UPSC, cadre handling authority is DOPT. Later it was DOPT, earlier there was service, there was an integrated department for services. So now they said patronage lies with center. It is undermining the authority of state. So abolish it. Okay. So now, was any recommendation of Rajmanar committee accepted? Now see the quantum of change they were asking. Remove president rule, remove all India service, abandon or disabandonment, just remove planning commission. So what central government did? Central government smiled. Okay, let's see. So central government completely ignored the recommendations. Okay. Now second is Anandpur Sahib. This was again a commission which was made by state, not center, right? Punjab. And it has two objectives. One was political, other was religious, considering the context of Anandpur Sahib. Now, they also asked residuary power should be given to state, as was asked by Rajmanar committee. Equal authority and representation to all state. What does it mean? Take example of US Senate, right? And equate it with Indian Rajya Sabha. India's Rajya Sabha, the number of seats allocated to states are based on population, and that is why seats vary from 1 to 31. Uttar Pradesh is having maximum seats. Why? Because of the population, right? Now, they said we should follow the formula of US. Each state was given 2 seats. That is why 100 membership, 100 members for 50 states. So that was their demand. Then they said this was one of the radical, you can say, recommendation on center-state relation by Anandpur Sahib. They said center's jurisdiction should be limited to only defense, foreign affairs, communication and currency. Every other power should be left to state. So it was like making center weak. And that is why you can easily remember that this recommendation was not accepted. This was like changing the Schedule 7 of Indian Constitution. They were saying change this union list, state list, concurrent list. Then came Bengal, West Bengal Memorandum. So this is the third commission which we are discussing from state part, and before that we have discussed ARC, first ARC recommendation on center-state relations. Clear? Now, what they said. Now see the commonality. One common thing is clear, residuary power to state. All three have demanded residuary power to state. They also asked that the word union in our constitution should be replaced with federal, so that states can truly enjoy the independence, the autonomy of the concept of federalism. Presidential rule and financial emergency to be repealed. Means just remove Article 356, just remove financial emergency Article 360. Consent from state for state reorganization means whenever you are going to use Article 3, then consent of state should be mandatory. As of now, it is not mandatory. Although this bill is presented to the state legislature, but their recommendations, their apprehensions are not binding on the center, right, on the parliament. Rajya Sabha should be equal to Lok Sabha. As of now, we know that Lok Sabha has more power in most of the cases. That we are going to discuss in detail when we are going to discuss Parliament chapter. 75% of the revenue to state. Or if you are collecting 100 rupees, then 75 should be distributed in state. Abolition of all India service. They are also asking abolition of all India service. And now you can connect why state governments have so much apprehension for all India service and the level of apprehension they have. That's all India service is going to have inclination towards center. So central government did not accept the demands. So it means whether we talked about Rajmanar, Anandpur Sahib resolution or West Bengal memorandum, center did not accept it because they were demanding far-reaching changes. They were demanding structural changes in our constitution, right? So now Sarkaria Commission was made under Justice R.S. Sarkaria. And look what he suggested. He said we should not do the structural changes in constitution. What we can do, we can actually change some functional aspect. Operational aspects can be changed. The way we use these laws, this needs to be changed. If governor position is being abused by party in power center, then let's make a rule regarding appointment of governor. If you are saying that many times state bills are being stalled, then rather than actually taking all the power from the center with respect to this particular process, let's do one thing. Let's make government more responsible whenever president stalls a particular bill. right? So it means Sarkaria Commission actually adopted a balanced approach. Let's discuss one by one the recommendations which were made. Interesting one. They said ISC means Interstate Council should be changed into Intergovernmental Council. President rule should be used rarely, means in utmost necessity. All India service to be strengthened. So everyone in these three commissions, three means I'm talking about Anandpur Sahib and Raj Mannar and West Bengal Memorandum. They were saying abolish All India service, but Sarkar said no. All India service should be strengthened, and there should be more All India service. Like IS, IPS, IFS, we need more All India service. Residuary power, they were saying that residuary power should be given to state. They said no. Residuary power should be concurrent, means in such matter both can make law, but when it comes to power to tax on something which was not mentioned in all the three lists, it means residuary power with respect to tax, that should be with parliament only. That is what Sarkaria was saying. Reason for withholding: if you withhold a bill of state, then give reason to that state. There was NDC, National Development Council. It should be turned into National Economic and Development Council. The work sphere of this council should be more specific and elaborate. Zonal council should be reactivated so that disputes between states can be resolved at this level. Center should consult states before making law in concurrent list. I hope you're connecting. This was the apprehension, that center tried to actually overpower, right? So they are saying if you're making law in this concurrent list, consult states. CM consultation before governor's appointment, because governor has to work in close coordination with CM, so CM's recommendation should be accepted. Sharing corporate tax with states. So in this regard, we already discussed in the previous video. 80th Constitutional Amendment Act was made, so that a scheme of sharing taxes was actually made at par with income tax with respect to corporate tax and custom duties. I discussed this. Council of Ministers having majority. If Council of Ministers is having majority, governor should not disband the government. Okay, because many times governor disband the government and asks for disbanding a government, even if this Council of Ministers is having majority in state legislature. That is wrong. That is a fraud to democracy, right? Because people have elected him. Expect compelling reasons or dismissal of governor. That governor is removed without giving any reason. It should be given some reason. He should or she should be given some reason. Inquiry commission against ministers can be actually made by the demand by parliament. As I told you, there was apprehension that many times CMs and ministers at the state level, inquiry commissions are made by center. So this can be done when parliament made such demand. Surcharge should be in specific case and for short term. And 3-language formula was suggested. You know that in center and state, there was apprehension that center is trying to enforce Hindi forcefully, right? And the languages, Hindi was the main reason. So Sarkari Commission recommended 3-language formula. So what does it mean? It simply means that 3 bases should be there whenever language policy is made at the state level. Group identity means the language should be such that people can connect with that language. Second is national unity. National unity is a priority, and language is the thread which actually weaves people in. Third is administrative efficiency. That should also be the criteria. So please remember, this was the good recommendation which was made by Mr. Raj Sarkaria. So out of these 247 recommendations, 180 recommendations were implemented, including the establishment of interstate council. Don't you think it is a major achievement in the picture of center-state relations in India? Right? That is why I was saying Sarkari Commission is important. Now after that, Punchi Commission was made, 2007, under Madan Mohan Punchi, former CJI. And now you will see that Punchi Commission discussed some new issues. And whenever a question is being asked on center-state relations, your understanding of Sarkaria and Punchi Commission will give you more than enough points. You will have good amount of points. Now here they discussed, we need to discuss issue of communal violence. Yeah, means how center and state should coordinate on these issues. Interlinking of rivers. If devolution of powers and autonomy to Panchayati Raj institutions, right? Independent planning and budgeting at district level Don't you think these are important issues, right, for development at ground and how center and state should actually play their role? Central assistance versus performance of state means assistance is given. States have demanded 75% fund should be given to them. But now Punchi Commission said whether funding should be based on performance. If states have performed well, then they should be given some additional funds so that other states can also get inspired and their administration also work better. Positive discrimination should be also there with respect to some state. It means if some states are lagging behind, say in education, drinking water, basic things, then center should support them more. Tax and VAT regime, although now we have GST, but the kind of VAT system should be adopted so that the trade between different states can be at ease. Integrated domestic market should be established, so it is linked to this. Central law enforcement agencies should actually get into this picture of crime, investigating crime when a particular crime is having ramification on its interstate. Means more than one state are getting impacted due to some case, then central law enforcement agency should have power. So these were the issues, term of references on which it was asked that Punchi Commission, you should look into these issues and recommend us. So now 310 recommendations were given by Punchi Commission. Number one, they said there should be broad agreement between center and state before legislating any matter on this concurrent list. Issues on concurrent list have broad agreement. And I hope now you can see a commonality between what Sarkaria was saying and what Punchi was saying. Sarkaria said, consult center. Center should consult state whenever a law is being made on concurrent list. And Punchi said, this should be done. Restrain parliamentary supremacy in state list. You know that there are cases where center can make law in matter of state list also. So there should be restriction of supremacy, right? It should be done in extremely necessary circumstances. Interstate council to audit concurrent list, whether it was needed to make such law on concurrent list by center only, whether this can be actually delegated to state as well. Interstate council should do the audit. 6 months should be given to the president when a matter, means state bill, is before president, so that a state's necessity to actually turn a bill into act can be taken into consideration. Follow Sarkari recommendation on governor selection. What was the Sarkari recommendation on governor selection? Just tell me. I've just discussed. Come on. I've just told you. Since governor has to work in close coordination with CM, so CM should be consulted while appointing any governor in that state, right? Governor removal should be by impeachment. As of now, you know that governor can get a fax from the president house that now you are not governor, you should pack your things, and no reason will be given. No reason is mandatory. So now it should be like impeachment, so that governor's position can get some kind of security and governor can work in an independent manner, not just agent of the center. Governor's discretionary power to be exercised in non-arbitrary manner. As of now, a lot of discretionary power are with governor where no question can be asked. Governor can use this because there is ambiguity on those provisions. Prominent being with respect to when hung assembly is there. You must be knowing about Goa case, right? In 40, I'm talking about the previous elections in Goa, right? When BJP government was formed, when BJP got 13 seats, the seats needed for majority were 21. Congress got 17 seats. So Congress needed only 4 MLAs to prove majority, and this Congress and this BJP needed 8. So, but BJP actually found success. Mridula Sinha was governor at that point of time there, and she was connected to BJP earlier. So, some kind of allegations like this are made that governor works in partisan manner and give opportunity to the other party, the party in power in center. Now, decide about the bill in 6 months. Governor should also decide about the bill in 6 months. Constitution to lay down guideline. For example, the hung assembly case, this I told you. When there's hung assembly, it means no party or coalition is getting clear majority. Then who should be given first preference to prove majority? So there's ambiguity there, and that is why governor works in arbitrary manner. Although Punchi Commission said that pre-poll alliance should be given the preference, means alliance of parties which was made before election, right? Governor have the right to sanction prosecution of a state minister. Governor only constitutional role. Governor should not have a role of chancellor and have some statutory position other than this. right? So this was recommendation of Punchi Commission. Apart from this, imposition of president rule is prominent issue between center and state. So they said restrict the use of Article 56. Although we have one important case in which Supreme Court gives the guideline that we should use, means center should use Article 356 sparingly. Can you mention that case in comment? Come on. Case with respect to misuse of Article 356. Come on. Rapid fire round. Name of case is Bommai case. Please remember. Framework to deal localized emergency. For example, if there is some emergency like condition in an area, there should be framework to deal with that condition there only. It is not necessary that you use Articles 52, 356 and get more power to center. Right? If an issue can be managed, then it should be managed easily. And Article 263 should be amended, which talks about interstate council. And amended in which manner? Interstate council should be given more power. It should be it should be made more credible. Because if I ask, have you ever heard about some major achievement of interstate council? Then you might look towards your fan or around. Yaad to nahi aa raha hai. Why? Because we have not, discussed. We have not. This particular body has not been in news for some achievement from many years. Zonal councils to meet 2 times at least per year. For example, government has made this empowered committee of finance ministers so that issues with respect to VAT uniformity between state and better trade between state can be ensured. So they have achieved considerable success by this formula. So Punchi Commission said similar kind of empowered group of ministers can be made in other areas as well, right? Although now we have GST. There should be forum of CMs so that they can coordinate on policies in matters like energy, food, etc. If some state has surplus energy, then it should be given on fair terms to the state. If there is some food scarcity and other state is having food surplus, then it should be managed. New All India service should be made. Now see the commonality. Sarkaria Commission was saying All India service should be strengthened and more All India service should be there. Similar kind of recommendation is made by Punchi Commission. They said there should be All India service in case of health, education, engineering, judiciary. Removal of obstacles for well-functioning of Rajya Sabha and equality of representation respect to population size. Means the US model, the Senate model, US Senate model which I discussed. Devolution of power to local bodies. Now go through the term of reference which I said. Means PRI was an objective of term of reference on which Punchi Commission was asked that you should give some recommendation. They said more power should be given to local bodies. Right? And when state governments are given responsibility, yes, you should implement the central law. Then if they are implementing the central law, then they should be given more funds. Means cost sharing should be there. Right? And when it comes to central government PSUs, harnessing, exploring, extracting some minerals from a particular state, so state is given some royalty. So there are 2 issues in royalty. Number 1, that this royalty is not renewed in a particular interval of time. Same royalty is continuing for so long. Second is the amount of royalty is many times delayed and state government has to manage its finances. So now Punchi Commission said that it should be renewed on timely basis like 3 years, and if there is delay in funds, the interest should be paid by the center to the state. Right? When it comes to professional taxes, in previous video when I was talking about financial aspect of center-state relations, I told you that professional tax can be used by state, but limitation is not more than 2,500 per annum. So Punchi Commission said no ceiling should be there on professional tax. Assessment of all fiscalizations by independent body. If there are some fiscal, with respect to, when I say fiscal, it means I'm talking about 2 things. Number 1, imposing of taxes means revenue collection, and number 2, expenditure. And since fiscal policy of center is going to have impact on states as well, that is why there should be an independent body to actually assess these fiscal, fiscal related bills. Mechanism to involve states in finalization of terms of reference Finance Commission. As I told you, that Finance Commission appointed by President on the recommendation of Council Minister, and term of reference means agendas on which Finance Commission is told that you have to work and give recommendation. So there, state participation is missing. So they said state participation should be there so that states can also put forward their points. fair, you can say, recommendation. Now bring down surcharges and cess charges. Permanent secretariat for Finance Commission. Reason? I told you. So that these states can reach out to Finance Commission. On which basis you are given this recommendation? We have these points and these are valid points. Please consider that. So this should be made, right? Interstate and Commerce Commission should be established under Article 309 as a constitutional body, so that interstate trade and policy can be more, you can say, uniform, which is going to benefit all. So I hope now you are clear with the recommendations of Punchi Commission. Center-state relations pay, no matter what question is asked on commissions, it will be far easier for you. It will be cakewalk for you to actually answer it correctly. When questions are asked in mains from center-state relations, just go through this video again, have a pen and paper in front of you or a Lakshmikant, underline things, and it will be easy, cakewalk to understand these. Okay. Apart from this, I've added some MCQs in this PDF. After you go through this video, I'll ask you to go through this PDF. This PDF will be uploaded in this Telegram group, Shashank Tyagi for you, tonight, and you can actually go through this MCQs and attempt them. Solution is also given. Those who have some doubts with respect to any lecture or any part of your preparation, you can shoot me a message on shashank.powerbeing. That is my personal Insta handle, and I'll be happy to help you out. See you in the next video. Till then, keep learning, keep growing.
StudyIQ IAS. अब तैयारी हुई अफोर्डेबल।